Dignitaries are arriving UTC Junction by Ambonima Wharf Junction in Port Harcourt, the venue of the flag-off ceremony of the state government's legacy project, the Port Harcourt Ring Road, where Rivers State Deputy Governor Ngozi Odu, former Governor Peter Odili are among dignitaries already seated, waiting for the arrival of Governor Siminalayi Fubara. The chairman of the Rivers State Traditional Rulers Council, Sergeant Awuse, members of the State Executive Council, local government chairmen are also present. Chairman of Port Harcourt City Local Government Area, Orwell Ihunda, spoke to our correspondent.
It's a project that is going to create employment for our people. It's a project that will ease traffic and also improve our economic activities of our people. In less than 2 months in office, what he's doing today shows clearly that he's continuing with the good legacies that was set under the last administration of His Excellency Yesomizo Wike.
Well, other guests arriving the flag-off ceremony spoke to our correspondent.
It's a step in the right direction and it's progress personified. This is something that will help the masses a lot. If you live in Choba and you want to come to the River State Secretariat, that will mean you will go through Mboba, through Adajor, through Ajib. You are going to go through other communities. But with the ring road, from Choba, you can access the Secretariat directly. It will reduce the traffic in many places. It will also save costs for transport. We are beginning to see public and masses-oriented projects that are going on. Look at the few weeks ago, the palliative buses that were rolled out. Now, the ring road.
Former Governor Nyesom Wike is expected to flag off the 200 billion naira project. Recall that the contract for the project's construction was signed between the state government and Julius Berger PLC at the Government House, Port Harcourt, last Wednesday. Now, earlier there was traffic build-up along the Azikiwe Road as activities for the flag-off of the Port Harcourt Ring Road intensified. Our correspondent reports that some vehicles were diverted from Abali Park Junction to alternative roads to reduce movement along Azikiwe Road. Moving on now. Those affected by the employment cancellation at the Ignatius Ajuru University of Education are heading to court to challenge the decision of the Rivers State government. The coordinator of Defense for Human Rights and Democracy, Solomon Clifford, says the group, in collaboration with the affected employees, will sue the Rivers State government.
The Defense for Human Rights and Democracy, in collaboration with those employees affected, will drag Rivers State government to court to seek justice because it is against the rule of engagement between employee and employer. At what point did the Rivers State government notice those irregularities? These people have rendered services for 8 months, and those 8 months, the Rivers State government heartlessly has not paid these people. It's uncalled for.
Well, recall that 3 days ago, the Rivers State government nullified the appointment letters of both academic and non-academic staff recently employed during the former Governor Wike administration with the promise of conducting a proper and credible recruitment exercise. But some Port Harcourt residents are faulting the state government for taking 9 months to identify the alleged irregularities that led to the cancellation of the employment process. But some others urged the state government to make amends for those the decision affected.
People commended them for the employment, then at the end of the day, these people we are sacked. It's very bad.
I just feel sorry for those persons. It's an anathema that after working for a period of 8 months, expecting that you've already gotten a job, at the end of it all, you were relieved from your job. It's an eyesore. You should call them back.
In Wike's administration, out of pressure from Rivers people, he didn't meet fit to call for employment. There was a site who registered, and there was also an exam they wrote in order to get the job. Now, after employment, a new administration has come telling them that the processes, the money they invested in course of getting the job, all has been void. It's not proper. I put all the blames to the state government, more or less like a gamble played with us. They give us this to achieve this.
They should settle the people that has worked before doing another employment.
Meanwhile, human rights lawyer Henry Ekine says the action of the Rivers State government is an infraction and a violation of the rights of the employees who have completed their employment contracts.
In my view, I do not see a justification for the unilateral termination of that contract of employment for the reason that there were irregularities on the side of the employer, and he didn't see this irregularity all through the process of engagement and until the contract has been consummated and a letter of employment given to the employee, and the employee has shifted ground and has actually resumed employment. He must be entitled to some compensation.
But Mr. Ekine said it is unlawful for the employees to bear the brunt of the alleged irregularities by the employer.
The alleged or purported irregularity was not the cause of these employees. It is the employer who had advertised the vacancy, who had called or invited expression of interest in terms of application for employment. It was the employer who conducted all of the procedures for interviews and all other requirements and procedures that led to the employment.
Well, still on this, the acting Vice Chancellor of the Ignatius Ajuru University of Education, Okechukwu Onuchukwu, has ordered the removal of Emmanuel Kalabo as the Deputy Registrar Establishment, as well as the removal of Emmanuel Aburuto as the Deputy Director ICT. It was gathered that the affected officers were alleged to have compromised the employment exercise with their positions. Away from that, Vice President Kashim Shettima says the federal government is set to unveil Pulaku solution to address the root causes of banditry and insurgency in Nigeria. Where VP Shettima said both kinetic and non-kinetic solutions must be embraced to end the decade-long security menace. Well, he also expressed the commitment of the President Bola Tinubu administration to ending all forms of terrorism in the country. The House of Representatives today began the screening of the service chiefs recently appointed by President Bola Tinubu. The screening committee was led by the majority leader of the House, Julius Ihombere. The chairman of the ad hoc committee of the House, Babajimi Benson, said members of the armed forces must adhere strictly to the provisions of the Appropriation Act, and he also urged them to work in synergy by sharing intelligence. The service chiefs include Chief of Defense Staff, Major General Christopher Musa, Chief of Army Staff, Major General Taurid Lagbaja, Chief of Naval Staff, Rear Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, and Chief of Air Staff Hassan Abubakar. The federal government has withdrawn the mobile police force personnel attached to several very important persons, VIPs, including former governors, former ministers, and lawmakers. The order, which was contained in a police wireless message from Mopol 45 Force Headquarters, Abuja, affected Daura Buhari, brother to former President Muhammadu Buhari and former Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa. While the development came a few weeks after the IG vowed to withdraw police mobile force personnel from VIP escort and guard duties. Still to come, 7 children rescued in Lagos orphanage fire. Stay tuned.
4 years ago, the
7 children were rescued from an orphanage engulfed by fire on Sunday afternoon. The children, all male, were rescued from a one-story building housing their orphanage located on Wole Madariola Street in Aguda area of Lagos State. The fire reportedly started when an air conditioning unit in the house experienced power surge. The Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, LASEMA, said no injuries or casualties were recorded in the incident. Medical doctors in Cross River State have begun an indefinite strike in solidarity with one of their colleagues abducted on Thursday from her residence in Calabar. The doctors announced the strike in a communique issued after their emergency general meeting on Sunday. We'll recall that Dr. Ekanem Ephraim was kidnapped from her residence by armed men who pretended to be patients. And Justin, the APC national chairman, Senator Abdullahi Adamu, has resigned his position. He reportedly resigned on Sunday night. There is no official confirmation from the APC chairman or the party as of press time, and party officials have declined to confirm or deny the reports. But party sources said a press conference is scheduled for this afternoon, and it is expected that the resignation will be made official then, and an acting national chairman will be named. In business, a rice producer in Rivers State, Godwin Nwogugu, says the state emergency declared by President Bola Tinubu on food security may not succeed if herders are not stopped from destroying farmlands. Mr. Nwogugu, who is the chairman of the National Rice Producers, Processors, Millers and Marketers Association of Nigeria, Rivers State chapter, said this in an interview with our correspondent.
Earlier before now, agro input was at the high side, making it difficult for the farmers to access with the high cost. Now that His Excellency has proclaimed an intervention, I think there will be abundant food in the country. But for that to succeed, activities of the herdsmen should be checked. If not, no matter whatever you invest, the animals will still prey on them and the food shortages will continue to loom.
Well, the chairman of the Rice Farmers Association said states in the south should also benefit from the pilot scheme.
We are also seizing this opportunity to call on the federal government to extend the test run to certain part of Nigeria. There is no way they will say they are test running the program with only 5 states in the north. What about the south? It should be balanced. So when that is done, at least we will all be happy.
Well, recall that President Bola Tinubu on Friday declared an emergency on food security. In entertainment, Victory Wakara, one of the contestants for the Nigerian Idol Season 8 edition, emerged winner of the show, walking away with 100 million grand prize. Well, Mr. Wakara is a lawyer, singer and songwriter who started singing at the age of 9 and was part of a choir group where he honed his singing skills. In sports, new signing Lionel Messi has been officially presented to cheering crowds at Inter Miami's DRV PNK Stadium. A sold-out crowd of about 20,000 waited through downpours and lightning to see the 7-time Ballon d'Or winner given a number 10 shirt.
And now, we'll bring you news from around the world.
A controversial Kenyan televangelist who claimed he created miraculous pregnancies has been acquitted of child trafficking charges due to insufficient evidence. A Kenyan magistrate said the prosecution failed to prove that Gilbert Deya stole 5 children 2 decades ago. He had been accused of to infertile women. Ring Road today. And those affected by employment cancellation at the Ignatius Ajuru University of Education are heading to court to challenge the decision of the Rivers State government. The House of Representatives have screened the service chiefs. 7 children have been rescued in a Lagos orphanage fire. And on the foreign scene, a Kenyan Miracle Babies pastor, Gilbert Deya, has been acquitted of child trafficking. The news was edited by Martha Okerenkem. Partly cloudy weather in Port Harcourt this afternoon. Peace is the path to the prosperity of a nation. Let peace reign. I'm Constance Mega. Thank you so much for listening. Good afternoon.